Hey Chronocrafters, the following video is going to have chronograph data of how I set up my load for a particular gun. So we've already gone through the accuracy testing of the gun. So I don't have an accuracy testing video right now because that's really up to you and what you're going to do with your gun. So in a previous video I talked about utilizing a different patch material, different powder, different ball size, and that's all going to affect your accuracy. So we're going to assume that you've got your accuracy taken care of. You've got a distance and a decent set of grouping. So now what you're going to do is you're going to kind of chronograph and determine what the best load for you, whether it be target or hunting, and how many foot-pounds of energy you're going to have, and that's going to be downrange, so it's effective for your kill or versus target. So you want to see some 2F at 60 grains powder with a 15 thousandths patch from Oxyoke. Then you're going to have 3F, and that's going to get me some data as well in the same exact thing, 60 grains powder, but using a 3F, so you should see some greater pressures and a little bit of higher velocity. And then I'm going to do the 385 grain Hornady Great Plains Hunter bullets, which I do use for hunting as well as patch round ball. So my theory is, and that is that as you seat that thicker, heavier projectile, you should be able to generate higher pressures. But the question is whether or not it's going to give us a higher velocity with that pressure buildup. So your felt recoil is going to be much greater with the same 60 grain charge because it's taking more to get that heavier projectile. But the question is, does it go fast enough to increase the foot per second, or will I actually see a decrease in foot per second with that? So the following is going to be 2F and then 3F on a 60 grain 60 grain 490 patch round ball with a 15 thousandths patch, and that's Oxyoke patches. These are hand cast bullets by me. They're actually slightly oversized over a 490, which in the lead load they're actually a little bit big, so they're actually hard to load in this video. And then we go to the Hornady Great Plains 385, and it's going to be 60 grains, and then of 2F, and then 60 grains of 3F. So we'll see if there's any difference there. And then we'll just go through, but this is how you actually get actual scientific data that will help you determine if your load is capable of taking the game that you want to do. This is just one example, but this is a 50 cal. This is out of the Pennsylvania, so if you have the exact same gun setup that I have, you can run these exact same charges and these exact same patches and the exact same ball size. You're going to get pretty darn close to this. If you have a 45, you're going to want to do your own data, but I would highly recommend that if you don't have one and you're into hunting and you're looking for the best performance and ballistics and accuracy altogether, you really need to get a chronograph. And the Pro Chrono that I use, I think it's Competition Electronics, it was $99, $95, something like that. And it works. I've tried the betas and the other ones from the other companies out there, and I have trouble catching them. This thing is just phenomenal. It catches 95% of the rounds going through, including archery, and gives you a lot of data. So here we go. Let's check it out and see what we got. Hey Chronocrafters. So I figured today it's a nice day. It's up. It started out at 5 degrees, and it's now up to 40 degrees. So we've got a 35 degree difference right now. So I've got the Pedersoli 50 Pennsylvania. What I decided to do is I want to get the chronograph out here. I've got it about 10 paces away. 2.5 for pace count, so that's 25 feet. And I'm not aiming at anything. This is strictly trying to get it through and over the chronograph without shooting my chronograph. And I'm going to do some groups for you. This is how I would work up a load. So I've got hand cast bullets that I made. So 490 balls, solid, 99% brass. I'm going to run 15 thousandths pillow ticking, and I do have some 18 thousandths pillow ticking, and I do have some 20 thousandths pillow ticking. Actually, the 15 thousandths are actually going to be the Oxyoke. Not pillow ticking, but 15 thousandths. Then it'll be 18 thousandths. Then I've got some 20 thousandths. And then I've got some 2F and 3F. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my 60 grain load. And this is going to say, like after watching the previous video on how do I make a load, how do I develop a load, I've settled on 60 grains right now. And that is what works in this gun, so I'm going to go from there. So I'm going to start with 15 thousandths. I'm going to shoot it over with some 2F. And I'm going to do some 15 thousandths with 3F, 60 grains. Same thing. You'll see a velocity difference in theory. And then I'm going to go to, I've got some of the Hornady Great Plains 385 bullets, which I hunt with as well. So I'm going to do 60 grains at 2F and 60 grains at 3F. And I've only got 4 of those with me because I don't want to burn through those, but I should be able to do 2 at 60 grains at 2F and 2 at 60 grains at 3F. And we should see a velocity difference as well. And that's going to give you a lot of critical data, which we'll expound on later. So first up, I'm going to start with 60 grains, 490, 15 thousandths patch. So 490, 2F, 15 thousandths patch. F 60 grain, 490, 15 thousandths. Okay. So here we go, 1470 feet per second. I'm not going to do a bunch on this one. Hopefully that comes in. 1470. So there you go. So that's 2F. I'm not going to do a bunch because I, in one of my other previous videos a year or two ago, I actually got 1460, 1470 feet per second consistently out of this gun with 2F. So now we're going to bump it. We're going to do 3F at 60 grains, 15 thousandths patch. I'm going to put them down and we're going to see what that does for our velocity. .490. We've got 3F with a 15 thousandths patch inside of here, and 4F priming. All right, so 3F just produced 1604. So we went from 1470 to 1604. Do that again. I have not done the 3F for consistency, so I'll do 2 or 3 more. And I'm not worried about 5-shot accuracy because once I get a couple that are consistent, I know I'm pretty darn close and good to go. So that's going to load it back up. I'm going to do 3F, 60 grains, 15 thousandths patch, 490 hand cast ball. Okay, 3F again, 490 with a 15 thousandths patch, 60 grains. All right, 1648, pretty consistent. So that's cool. We're 1604. So 1470 for the 490, 15,000, 60 grain 2F. And then 1648. And then 1604. Shot 3, 3F, 60 grains, 490 with 15 thousandths. Ready to go. Cool. 1614, there we go. Pretty consistent. And again, the big variation is going to be in how much actually comes out in my powder charge every time, but 1614. But what's interesting, and this is the next bit of tweaking your load. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. So there's a lot of people out there who talk about utilizing 3F versus 2F because they like it better, or, you know, higher velocities, and I get that. Let me show you something that I don't ever have a problem with shooting 2F. Check out my patch. See that? It's burned right through, torn through. That extra velocity is destroying that patch. And I don't get that. Look at that. Right through. This is why they say reading your patches is super important. Here's that last one. Check that out. Terrible. And I never get that in 2F. So just something to think about. The hotter you go, the more velocity, the more oomph that you're going to get there. Now, moving right along, I'm going to do 2 shots of 60 grains 2F with that Hornady 385 Great Plains bullet. And then I'm going to do 2 shots with the 3F. And now this is going to be just powder and the 385 grain projectile. Okay, we're at 60 grains, 2F, with that 385 bullet, 4F in the pan. See what we got. Alrighty, here we go. 1330. So 2F, 1330. Going to do it one more time with 60 grains of 2F, and then we'll go to 3F. 2F, 60 grains, 385 Hornady Great Plains Hunter bullet. Now my flint's really dull right now. I really should chip it and trim it or change it, but since we're not hunting with it, we're going to keep going. Cool. 1298. 1298. .3F, 60 grains, Hornady Great Plains. $13.04. $13.04. 4. Okay, we're going to do that one more time for consistency. It's going to be 60 grains, 3F. Okay, 60 grains, 3F, 385 quantity. Got a built-in range rod holder. As you can see, that's all the powder coming out from the pan shooting. Pretty cool. You can see powder in the snow. So it doesn't take much to get these projectiles going down. But this is, so 1294, 1304 was the one right before. And then we had 1298, 1330, 1614, again that was our 3F round ball, 1648 3F round ball, and 1604 3F round ball, and then 1470 was our patched 2F round ball. So, surprisingly, there was no variation 3F and 2F velocity-wise out of that Great Plains Hunter at 385. So there's a moot point there shooting 2 or 3F variation. I mean, I could keep going, but that's pretty damn consistent between 2 and 3F. So there's no argument there to generate 3F behind that or 2F. But this is what's interesting. This is why you want a chronograph, because this is what gives you true infield data for you and your gun. If you're going to buy a Pennsylvania with the same specs or a gun very similar in spec, you could probably get similar performance out of that. The next thing you can do if you wanted to try to change things up would be change your patch thickness. I do have a couple other patches with me thickness wise, but it's still pretty cold out here. There's actually about 18 inches of snow on the ground. This is my center snowshoe path. I'm kind of standing up on top, but it is pretty deep snow. It was 5 degrees out this morning, and I'm kind of cold. But we'll take this back inside and I'll extrapolate a little more on the data. But remember, if you change one thing, or if you're going to change one thing, you got to go through the whole process again. Don't change everything and expect quick results with muzzle loading. That's the one thing about it, is you got to stay consistent and keep everything the same, loading procedure, patch material, everything during the whole test. Because if I were to say test with 15 thousandths on 2F, but then go a 10 thousandths patch, I just changed a variable that's going to change things up. But it was interesting to note that that gun at 3F is shredding the patch on the patch on the 3F powder, which it does not do with the 2F. So that tends to tell me that since it's generating faster, there's probably burrs down in my barrel still. I mean, it's a new gun 2 years ago. I've got a lot of rounds through it, but that means something's either catching, not polished, or it's just generating enough energy to kind of tear it up. So that is the other aspect is that's a really nice tight patch, down that bore. So, I could always lighten up that patch a little bit, maybe lose a little bit of accuracy, but I'm going to stick with that 15 thousandths because I know it works and I know it's accurate, and it gets me deer. So we're going to stay there. Anyway, hope this answers some questions, but if you don't own a chronograph, beg, borrow, and steal one, or find somebody who has one. But this is the Pro Chrono Digital. I have nothing but fantastic things to say about it. It's simple on off, and you can even shoot the posts and it doesn't damage it. So hope that answers some questions and maybe helps guide you a little bit. Just remember, keep things all the same when you're testing. So the only thing I changed today was my powder from 2F to 3F. and we'll go a little more into depth. Thanks.